Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby and welcome to another quick tank review. This time we're looking at the Tortoise. And the Tortoise is the Tier 9 British tank destroyer, and it does have some of the highest DPM in the game. This thing is able to ruthlessly take out its enemies very quickly with its 120mm, while trying to weather the storm with its rather thick frontal armor and huge amounts of hit points. If you want to be a fairly slow lumbering beast that's capable of eating up its enemies really quickly, then this might be the tank for you. And if you're not interested in it, stay tuned and I'll tell you how you can put this Tortoise on its back and just absolutely take it out. So as I just highlighted, the Tortoise has got 2,000 hit points. That is absolutely huge for a tier 9 tank destroyer. When we look at the other nations, for example, the T-95 has got 1,700, the Foch has only got 1,550, and the Object 704 has got 1,600. So immediately having that little bonus of about 25% extra health compared to your other tier 9 tank destroyers really allows you to weather the storm in a way and continue to put out your considerable DPM to hopefully kill the enemies. Now the weight of this tank when fully equipped is just shy of 77.5 tons. Of course, you can choose to use a super heavy spool liner, which will add another 1.5 tons to your tank, but it won't slow you down all that much. Now the tank has got 810 brake horsepower with its Rolls-Royce Meteor engine, and that means that its specific power, i.e. its horsepower to ton ratio, is only just over 10, which means it's very slow, considering the top speed is limited to 20 kilometers an hour. Now that's not T95 slow, not by a long shot, it's not TOG slow, but 20 kilometers an hour is quite limiting. It can prevent the Tortoise from relocating around the battlefield and getting to where it's needed. That means you're going to have to think hard about where you take it, as you might literally be deciding, I'm going down this flank and there's no other option for me, I will have to continue down it, because I'm too slow to be able to turn around. Now the traverse speed on this tank is not brilliant, it's 22 degrees, and that can take you quite a while to re-engage your target. Now the armor on this tank is very interesting. On paper it looks amazing, 228mm at the front, 152 at the side, and 101 at the rear. However, let's go into WOT Tank Viewer and take a better look. So this is going to take a while because the armor on the tank is very interesting indeed. Let's take a look at the frontal armor first. We can see that the lower plate on this tank is very flat and it's 228mm. So that is a very thick lower plate, and if it's well angled, it's going to be very hard to penetrate it. You're going to have a super high penetration gun completely flat on to really be able to breach this every time. We can see this 228mm of armor is also included on this area around the tank. Interestingly, this MG port, as you can see coming out the front, is completely flat, as you can see here, but it is 228mm thick. It's only shoot here if you're packing maybe 260 pen plus and it's completely flat. We can see on the left hand side of the tank, when you're facing it, the armor is sloped, but it's 171mm thick. So that's just under 60mm thinner than the other side. Although as it is angled, you're going to have to take that into your calculations about when you're going for that shot. However, realistically, when we talk about penetrating the Tortoise, there's only one real place that you should shoot, and that is this MG port up the top here. Now this is visible from everywhere around the tank and is one of the crippling weaknesses about the Tortoise. I would probably be keeping this tank and love playing it if it wasn't for this horrible MG port on the top of the tank. When we look at the front, we can see there's an area here which is 171. Outside of that 171mm area though, we are only having 100mm here, and that goes all around the other side. So basically when we look at it, the actual machine gun itself has got 170 and the rest is only 100. So when you're engaging a Tortoise, this is the weak point that you need to take advantage of. You can see it when he can't see you. When he's coming up over a ridge, you'll still be able to nail it. Take advantage of that, put the Tortoise on his back and just destroy it. So looking at the rest of the armor, we can see that we've got 152mm at the sides and 101 at the back. Now if you angle the armor, you can actually troll some shots in the Tortoise. People think that the back of the tank is always weak, but having 100mm at your back, if you can angle it like this and go backwards and forwards, they can often miss their shot. They can even have their damage absorbed in your tracks, or just bounce off the back because it's very well angled. 100mm is 100mm, and sometimes you won't be able to turn this tank the whole way round, so try and tank with the rear of your tank as well as with the front. So unfortunately, artillery do have a lovely shot on the back of your tank, and really, if you get nailed here by an artillery shell, you're going to regret it. We can see that it's only 31 millimeters thick, and it's at a lovely angle for the trajectory of the artillery to really come in and just almost one-hit a Tortoise. So if you are an artillery player, look no further. This is your opportunity to roll really high. This is 2,000 damage, or 2,000 health pool for you to take advantage of. So when we look at the tracks, we can see that there is some spaced armor. Use that to your advantage. If you think an enemy is stupid enough to shoot you in the tracks, use that. But of course, try to avoid the huge flat surface of the side of your tank where you should really be getting hit in the Tortoise. So when we look at the gun, we can see there's 2 layers of spaced armor. If we hide the gun entirely, we can see that there is a hitbox behind it. However, there is this very thick area of 406 millimeters, aka impenetrable, around the gun. So if you fire at the gun, you have to be very accurate and have enough penetration to be able to get through 2 layers of spaced armor. I really don't recommend it, as you do have a gigantic weak point there. And if you have enough penetration to get through here, you'll have enough penetration to get through here and even here. There you have it, that's the Tortoise. Really, you have armor that will only be able to bounce if the enemy have incorrectly fired at you. Anything that you're going to meet really is able to penetrate you quite easily, unless they don't have a clue what they're doing. So now that you know everything that you need to know about the armor of this tank, let's take a look at what makes this special. And that is this 120mm cannon. It fires 8.45 rounds a minute with 400 alpha damage. Its standard rounds have got 259mm of penetration, and its premium APCR rounds have got 326. Also, very interestingly, this tank fires HESH cheaply as its HE round. They cost 1,200 a shot, which is very economical. They have 120mm of penetration and do 515 damage. That means it's up to you how many you choose to take, but if you do get the back of a tank, such as a T110E5, which is very lightly armored, you can absolutely destroy it in record time. Now this gun is very accurate at 0.31. Really, it's going to go where you aim it. And with the 1.7 second aim time, you don't really have to aim before you take your shot. What's great about that is it allows the Tortoise to try and move its hull armor, to try and tank the shots and try and make the enemies miss. And then it doesn't have to aim for very long to be able to shoot the enemies. Also, that leaves you free to use whatever module you want after you've taken your vents and your gun rammer. I'd probably recommend to take binoculars and maximize that 390 meters view range so you can spot your enemies at far. However, if you like to avoid artillery damage and make sure your crew don't die, then because this tank does weigh over 70 tons, you can use a super heavy spool liner. So guys, hopefully that's everything that you need to know about the Tortoise. Really, I will highlight again just how devastating this DPM is. It is over 57% higher than the IS-7. And the same for the T-30. It's over 50% higher DPM than the T-30 when it uses the 155mm cannon. What that means is that you have to keep firing with this 120mm. Your alpha damage is quite low for a high-tier tank destroyer, a bit like a Foch. And that means that if you're trading shells with the enemy and they have much higher alpha damage than you, then you're gonna die very quickly. What you need to do is, as soon as the engagement has happened, hopefully around a corner, you need to press into the enemy and you need to keep firing and use your insane DPM and high health pool to take them out before they take you out. So anyway, that's quite enough. Let's take a look at some gameplay. So here we go. We're looking at our first gameplay in the Tortoise on Runeberg. I'm going to be showing you multiple games, so you can get a well-rounded opinion on the Tortoise in all areas of the battlefield. Now, Runeberg is very flat, and the Tortoise has got 10 degrees of gun depression, so there's very little opportunity to use that gun depression in the Tortoise. However, because Runeberg has lots of lovely alleyways in the town, and the Tortoise without a turret means that if it does get flanked, it's very easy to penetrate the side and the rear armor as we saw in the garage, that at least you can try and limit the amount of fire that you're going to take from either front or if you get flanked from behind. I'm going to speed the gameplay up a little bit, but you can see the Tortoise is not very fast at all. It's getting overtaken by T110E5s, by T30s. The 20km/h top speed limit can really slow it down. Well, not slow it down, but it can prevent it from getting into those first engagements. So we're aiming at the enemy Tortoise here. We put right We put one right into the top of his tank. And through this game, I'll try and highlight as many of the characteristics as I can. If you do want to pick up the Tortoise, that you really need to master, and you need to use this fantastic 120mm gun. What you see me doing here is being rather aggressive. What I found when I played the Tortoise is it's not a good idea to hang back necessarily, because the damage doesn't come to you. Look at this fantastic rate of fire. We fired, and now we're reloaded again. Plant another one in. I'm angling my armor to hope for bounces. We got penned once by, I guess, the Tortoise. And now look, we can see the Tortoise's cupola very clearly there. Look for it again. What I'm talking about is sort of the, sorry, not the cupola, but the MG port on, or the MG emplacement on top of the tank, so to say. It's very easy to hit, and look how we're taking advantage of the enemy Tortoise. Just took him out so easily. And you can do that all the time to Tortoises. So if you're a Tortoise driver, you've got to make sure that you try and hide your MG port on top of your tank as much as possible. Or at least try and keep it moving to not make it a stationary target and hope that the enemies do miss their shots. So one thing you've also got to think about in the Tortoise is always read the map. Right now, if I was to go down there and chase that lone T-30, I would not get any damage at all. I would be chasing after that T-30 all day long, and my friends would just kill it before I could get there. So, by reading the map, and knowing that my top speed limit, really, I have to think about where I'm going before I go there, I can see that the enemy are going to be probably approaching down this center part of the map. Lo and behold, a free T-32. We can put one right through his cheeks. And again. Now we're going after the Foch 155. I have loaded a premium round here, because I really don't want to get shot by a 155mm cannon on the Foch, that's for sure. Now we're going for the Carnarvon. Try and hit his lower plate there, but I couldn't. He does have the wreck of that IS-3 in the way, which is giving him quite a nice hull-down position. So we tried to go through his turret there, but we're unable to. But we blitzed through the side of his tank there anyway. And so what you've seen so far really in the gameplay is the incredible rate of fire on the Tortoise. Its armor does have its weak points. However, if you don't give the enemies the chance to shoot your weak points, and you use your fantastic aim time on your 120mm to just keep firing and keep moving, then your armor can absorb quite a punishment. We've been shot a fair few times this game, but we've only had one penetrating shot. We've still got 1,600 hit points left to go after these tier 10s at the end of the game. That's exactly what we're going to do. Look at this rate of fire. Enough to track the E50M right in front of us, and he is going to have a serious problem. You really do not want to be trading with a Tortoise. If you're engaging a Tortoise, we're able to put off a nice shot on the ISU-152 there. If you are trading with a Tortoise, you're doing it wrong. Because just check out its rate of fire. At least the 50B knew that he had to pull back pretty darn quickly there to stop himself from getting murdered. I thought he was going to poke, so I stopped advancing around the corner, but then I see that he's not going to come out, so I advance at him again. Oh, he's put 2 into the Object 268. But it looks like he's clipping now. Sucks to be you, dude. And fantastic. With that last shot, we managed to pick up over 6,000 damage. So that, in the essence, really is how dangerous the Tortoise is. You saw just how much DPM it's able to put out. You saw that it can take a beating, but purely because of its high health pool. If the enemies have a chance to aim at your weak points, you'll lose it very quickly. So it's very much in your interest to keep moving, just keep using the fact that you've got a very high penetration gun and very low aim time and great accuracy to punch holes in the enemy while you keep yourself moving. And just keep pumping out the DPM, and that's just what you need to do. Let's take a very quick look at some post-game stats before we then move into our next gameplay. So that, in fact, was the Mastery Badge in my Tortoise. We managed to pick up quite a few credits as well, over 82,000 credits. The Top Gun and the Sniper Medal, but considering the ranges that we were firing at, if we really missed a shot in there, it would have been a disaster. So the base experience that we got was 1,524, which is very meaty for a tier 9 tank. We fired 19, hit 19, and of those 18 penetrated, giving us a very meaty 6,000 damage done, which was over double most of our team. And that's quite a good effort considering that this was a tier 10 game. Now we took 7 hits, of which 4 penetrated, giving us a potential damage received of just shy of 2,300, but we still had most of our health left at the end of the game. This really was a textbook example of just the sheer brutality of the Tortoise and the kind of situations that you need to try and put it in. You need to try and put it into front engagements where you can't be flanked, and use your insane DPM to take out the enemy before they can aim at your weak points. But let's move along and take a look at a Tortoise in a more challenging situation. So now we're playing the Tortoise on Mountain Pass. This is the encounter battle, which was only in, I think, the 8.8 patch. It was removed in either 8.9 or 8.10, I can't remember exactly. I think it was 8.9. But the gameplay on this map and the positions that I'm going to show you the Tortoise could get into, and also the pressure that's applied to me playing the Tortoise here, can show you really what this tank is capable of. So we can see we can trundle up this slope. The engine power is not brilliant, if we're honest. However, it's more than enough to quickly get up into position. Now we can see how we're using the gun depression here. And we can put off clutch shots onto the enemy T-32. We're going to fire a few blind rounds here and just check out this Tortoise rate of fire. This is 120mm we're firing here with 400 average damage. And I'm hoping that I'm wrecking that T-32. And if not, I'm spending a hell of a lot of money on doing it. Unfortunately, I couldn't see where the shells were splashing in. Oh god, it looks like we only hit him once. It looks like we kept him tracked the whole time. He just became untracked there. And now we're going to proceed to try and do a bit more damage to him. So all of those shots fired, we only managed to do 800 damage to him. I think all of the other ones were aimed into the track. Watching the replay back now, I think they were actually tracking shots. Just unfortunate I didn't aim slightly higher or have a better angle. I needed to be on the same level as him, really, to be able to take his tracks off and damage him at the same time. So look at the gun depression on the Tortoise, and it's 10 degrees, guys. That's higher than an M48 pattern, just to let you know. It's the same as the FE4202 at tier 10. That's the kind of gun depression that you're going to get in the Tortoise. And it allows you to really be the master of sort of slopes and hills. You can get such flexibility with your aiming. So we can see a Yag Tiger here. Put a nice meaty shot into him and check out this rate of fire. Fine, you're going to shoot me, mate. Not too much of a big deal for me because I'm going to shoot you again. And again and again. So he was on full health when we started firing at him. We'll see how much health he's on when he reappears in a minute. We're going to fire a few more blind shots. The Tortoise carries so much ammunition that it's not really a big deal to fire blind. It's going to cost you a little bit of money. But don't worry too much about that. It's more about the damage that we're able to put out. So I'm quite worried about the fact that the E100 and the Yag Tiger and the T-32 are all down there. And because they're looking through those trees, and look, there's the Yag Tiger. He's only got 200 health left. Looks like we hit him at least 4 times there. So I'm quite worried about the fact that if they spot me through those trees, they're going to be able to take me out. For some unknown reason, the T-57 Heavy has come up here as well, thinking that he has an opportunity to shoot. Do you not think that I would be killing him if I couldn't? So, Now that the T-57 has come up here, I'll decide to do his work for him, and I'll go down below and try and put the pressure on these guys. I spot the T-69. I fire clutch, but it didn't penetrate the side of the T-69. What a shame. And those are the kind of shots you can pull off in the Tortoise because the aim time is so damn good. Really, you can fire so clutch. You only have to aim for about a second or two before you're able to have a real good go at the enemy tank. So we confirmed the kill there on the Tiger II. And the accuracy on the Tortoise is just insane. Really, the only limitations to this tank are the fact that it does have weak points. And the fact that it's got that 20 km/h top speed limit. Now we've finished the job on the Yag Tiger. And now I'm just trying to dig out this E100 and T32. I don't really want to get slammed. Oh god, I got spotted. Oh well, I might as well go then. Let's go. There's the E100. Uh-oh, this is going to hurt. Oh, the T32 tracks me, which allows the E100 to fire a good shot into, I guess, my MG port. Let's just pause for a second there and see where this guy fired a shot in. Yeah, he's not an idiot. Look at that heat round penetration right there. It's a shame the T32 managed to track me, but we murdered the E100 anyway. I lost a lot of health for it, but the Tortoise has got that kind of health. For a tier 9 tank destroyer to have 2,000 health, I would have shot that E100 I think 3 or 4 times before he could have shot me again. We're able to put in a good tracking shot there onto the T-32 to allow the Object 268 to confirm the kill. And right now this game is looking a little hairy. It's even more hairy when you consider that our IS-3 is AFK in base. So it's basically me, the T-69 and the T-57 Heavy, and that battle bus, the Su-14-2, against a lot of enemy tanks, against 7 enemy tanks. Okay, we can see where the 50B is. I got spotted. Oh no, I was just waiting for the artillery shell to land right on top of me. Fortunately for me that he missed, and he also told me where he is. So I'm pinging the map to say where the enemy artillery is, and oh, it's time for revenge. Oh, that was a really bad shot. I did not give enough lead. I must have been, well, I don't know, just a really bad shot. But thankfully, the Su-14-2 held his own and put a good hit there into the enemy artillery. Well played to that battle bus. And keep an eye on him. He's going to do some really good work this game. So now I'm looking for the 50B while using my gun depression. I unfortunately bounced a shot that I must have aimed at his upper plate rather than his turret. Now we can see the 50B bounces off us. We must be firing at our lower plate. And our rate of fire is more than enough to take him out effectively. So wow, we've managed to even this game up a little bit. We can see this T-69 going after my artillery. Didn't miss that one though. That one was quite important. If I'd missed that, then he would have gone in, killed my artillery, and had a flanking position on us. So right now what we can see is that there's a Pershing on the north of the map who's about to... Oh, look at that, that's hilarious. The Pershing's only got 2 health left, but he's going to be fed all of that IS-3 because he's AFK, that scumbag. That Pershing just hit the jackpot up north. 1,500 free damage, hey? So right now I've got the tricky situation of this IS-7, and even though that the Tortoise has 10 degrees of gun depression, it's not enough to really be able to get effective fire on him. And I'm really worried about getting hit by in my cupola. However, what the IS-7 doesn't know is that our battle bus, the Su-14-2, is in a rather nice position. But unfortunately for me, I just saw that the Pershing killed the IS-3 behind me. And that means that I don't have much time. So right now, what am I thinking? This is all about your map awareness. I'm thinking, alright, the Pershing's just killed my AFK IS-3. He's not an idiot. He's probably going to start shooting me in the arse right about now. Okay, what would I rather do? Get shot in the arse in the open, or would I rather do some damage and go out in style? So, I'm pretty sure I decide, alright, now's the time, let's do this. Fortunately, I get set on fire. We managed to pen the IS-7 once. My engine may be damaged. And I'm not going to let that stop me. We shot him twice. I'm pretty sure I'm going to die here unless I bounce a shot. And there the battle bus saves me. Thank you, Mr. Battle Bus. We repair our engine, and then we turn around to get this Pershing, which I think is about to completely zerg me. So in these kind of situations, when you know the Pershing is on 2 health, it's definitely best to fire a Hess shell right now. So we can just fire straight at his turret. Even though I did not fire the Hess shell there, that was a regular round. But if I'd been in this situation again, with hindsight, I would have definitely fired a Hess round there at the Pershing's turret. And what you saw me do there was not actually crest the hill, because if I was to crest the hill, it's very likely that he would have been able to see my cupola, sorry, my MG port. Why do I keep calling it cupola? The MG port, and take me out. So I stayed just below the ridgeline of the hill, and using my great gun depression, I could aim at where his turret would be and take him out. So now you're going to see the awkwardness of the Tortoise. Alright, this is a perfect example actually. I just realized this is a completely perfect example. Because my MG port sticks up so far, he can actually see it over this 1948. So, if I was to go behind this 1948 now, firstly, I can't actually shoot through the 1948 because my gun is right in the middle of my tank and I've got this huge area on top of my tank that I can't engage from. So I'm trying to push this 1948 out, and as you can see, we couldn't shoot through him anyway. But because of the MG port, he can literally just snipe one in on us over the 1948. So we've got to be very careful here. This may be a 3-on-1 situation, but it's really, it's a very awkward situation to be in the Tortoise. Especially considering I've only got 40 health, I can't risk to be hit at all. So we can now see that the enemy is inside the cap circle, and I got spotted. So, wow, I didn't see him, and he obviously spotted my MG port. Very awkward. But, little does he know, look what's happening on the map. Our absolutely heroic battle bus, who has had an absolutely huge game, is sneaking around. Alright, so I decide no point in capping right now. That position is completely useless for me, and basically by staying in it, I'm doing absolutely nothing for the team. So what my plan is to probably reverse, try and use these kind of undulations that I can hide behind and be able to put pressure on the enemy from afar. At least I've got more chance to snipe him if I can see over this 1948, rather than being right up against the 1948 where he can just snipe me in the top of my tank anyway. So, B-50 fired. And here goes the battle bus. Stumpf! Oh my word, what a hero. Unbelievable play by that Su-14 to be able to take that guy out. And so there we go. We got to see the Tortoise in quite a few tricky situations, and I really wanted to use this replay specifically to show you guys some of the vulnerabilities of the Tortoise. I didn't want it to be a quick tank review where I just showed you, look out there me going, guns blazing, and just take absolutely everything out. And when you get the Tortoise, you will quickly realize there's 2 kind of situations it can be in. 1, it's in the right kind of position and it's able to just blaze the enemy down. 2, its MG port makes it feel very awkward, and the enemy are not stupid enough to just allow you to shoot them repeatedly, and they take advantage of your MG port on top. Anyway, let's take a look at some post-game stats. So we were able to get 3,900 experience for our double and secure the top gun. We did 5,300 damage. Looks like we did quite a lot to that Jagdtiger. Yeah, we ended up hitting him 6 times, doing 1,800 damage to him. And look at that. All of the shots that we fired at that T-32 hit him, so all 7 of them, but we were only able to do less than 1,200 damage to him. I think we kept him tracked there the whole time. He must have been thinking, what is going on? What that meant is that we only missed 2 shots all game, considering all the blind shots that we fired. And this is a more realistic interpretation of the kind of potential damage you can take in the Tortoise. We took 3,160 potential damage, and we had very little health left at the end of the game. Your health is really your armor, and you've got to expect that at least 2/3 to 3/4 of all the opponents that you meet will know the weak points of this tank and will take advantage of them. I must give a shout out to Ilderin, the Su-14, in that replay, because he played a fantastic game. Put himself in some good positions, and really, without that Su-14, I would have lost. So I want to do the Tortoise justice, so I'm going to give you another lot of gameplay and show you just what a Tortoise can do on a ridgeline with its fantastic DPM. So here we go, I'm playing with Ike and Z on Westfield. And hopefully you're going to see just how devastating the Tortoise can be in these kind of ridgeline positions. This is exactly where you want to be in the Tortoise, able to use its 10 degrees of gun depression and its crazy rate of fire to devastate its enemies. And really, this IS and this Tiger 2 are going to have a very hard time. One thing that's interesting about the Tortoise is that if you are angling it, you're able to make it a lot harder for them to hit your MG port. So for example, shooting at a Tortoise like this, your actual top armor of your tank is much better angled here, and it makes it a lot harder to hit the MG port, and it's even got a slight angle on it. So that makes it all the more important to try and get into positions to use your 10 degrees of gun depression. Oh, that's an unlucky bounce there on that IS. But with a broken gun, it's a lot harder to put in the shots accurately. So I'm wondering what this M103 is up to. We don't have a shot on him. I just want to keep pumping out the damage. We leave that guy on 8 health. Don't worry, IS. I'm coming back for you. So the T-34, let's see where he shot us there. He just shot us straight into that area. Even though it was very well angled, it shows you can still be quite easily penetrated. But now look at this rate of fire on this T-28 prototype. It got absolutely devastated. And I know this T-34 basically fires 1 shot for every 2 shots we fire. So when it's your time, T-34, oh, I've seen he's fired, so here we go. Bang. We look for the M103 to see if we can secure the kill. No need. Bang. Look for the M103. No kill there. I saw the T-34 just fired, which means I can shoot him at least twice. Getting absolutely wrecked by me, Ike, and Z. They're in their M103s. I try and fire clutch there at the T-29. Unable to hit him though. I think that one went in. And there's our little brother, so to say, the AT-15. Looks like we hit that T-29 because he's down to 28% health. Looking for a kill on that IS-8. Instead we're going to go for the KB-4, who seems to be using the stock gun, which means it's got very little chance to penetrate us. And just this rate of fire, guys. This rate of fire. So remember, this is an 8.9 replay, which means that I can't shoot through the walls. That didn't stop us there. We're able to blitz through that IS-8. And if this is your kind of gameplay, then you need the Tortoise. These are the kind of situations you need to find this tank in. Just going on an absolute rampage, taking your chances with your health. Sometimes you'll bounce, sometimes you won't, but at least you've got that 2,000 health to really put pressure on the enemy. Just going to speed the gameplay up a little bit. We can see how this game ended, with me desperately trying to get the top gun and not getting it. So here's that final game. It was fortunately during a 5x event. We got over 10,000 experience. Steel wall, sniper. We hit 19 out of our 21 targets, and of those 16 penetrated, meaning that we did over 5,000 damage. I know Ike and Z in their M103s are very good players, but really when it comes to a kind of damage shootout like this, just nothing can really compete with the Tortoise. We picked up 1,418 base experience, and that game we actually took 4,230 potential damage. Only half of the shots we took penetrated us, and although we were left on very low health at the end of the game, we effectively took enough damage to probably kill most tier 9 tank destroyers 3 times over. Now that might be a bit of an overestimate when you consider that, for example, the Object 704 has got really good frontal armor, and the Foch 155 has also got really good frontal armor, but the Tortoise has got at least an extra 25% health on them, and its DPM really kicks them into touch. So I hope I've showed you everything that you need to know about this tank. To summarize quickly, it's a fairly immobile, ridiculously high DPM, ridiculously high health, but very troll armored tank destroyer that has quite a lot of flexibility due to its gun depression, while on the other hand has some significant weak points that the enemy can take take advantage of. I've had most success in this tank destroyer when I don't play passively, and I feel that it's got to be one of the best machines in the game for just purely putting damage out. A lot of people only play the Tortoise because they want to be getting on to the FB215B183. And initially I thought that was going to be me, but I really feel the Tortoise is strong in its own right, and I do fully recommend it. Anyway guys, if you've enjoyed this tank review or it's just been helpful to you, please consider rating it down below. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know in the comments what you think about the Tortoise. How do you think it squares up, for example, against the Object 704? Do you think the Tortoise is only really a good tank for just smashing on people who are probably less skilled? And do you think that it really struggles in situations where it can't have that just trading engagement? And let me know what you guys think. If you're looking for other reviews of British tank destroyers, I've done loads. I've got the Tier 7 and the Tier 8 British tank destroyer fully reviewed, and I have been playing quite a lot of the FB215B183. And if you've been watching my live stream, you'll know exactly what I think of it. I'm still waiting to have that magical game where I can really show it off to its fullest capabilities. And stay tuned on this channel because that FB215B183, that Tier 10 British tank destroyer will be coming soon. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.